That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us.
That's why, I'm sure that's why you like to work on your car. That's why I like to work on my car, because we are creating things, we're building things.
Yeah.
And this podcast is the same thing, we're creating. Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, a podcast about talking. We're your co-hosts, Peter Billman.
And I'm Cecil Davis.
And we're just trying to have a conversation without you using Google or fact-checking. Those things just seem to kill the conversation these days, don't they?
They do.
So we want to try to just talk out some different things, some things that we discover around us in the world. And as I was walking around the Camel City studio, especially over in the canteen area of the studio, I saw on the fridge this postcard, Cecil, and it says, open mic comedy every Wednesday. Sign up at 8 p.m., starts at 8:30 p.m., the Brewer's Kettle in Kernersville.
Yeah.
So I see this thing, and I'm thinking to myself, why is this on your refrigerator?
Right. So you thought what?
Well, I thought maybe you're just going to see. You want to attend. You think open mic is fun. Yeah. So I was wondering, had you been to it? What was it like? I think I've actually been to the Brewer's Kettle before to buy a beverage there.
Yeah.
But I didn't know about the open mic comedy. So
it's a new thing.
There's something afoot that I am not aware of that our audience may not be aware of, and I just feel like they need to know, because I think it'll go along with our brand.
That it doesn't sound right. So I have not attended that in any way yet.
No. But why is it on your fridge?
So the reason it's on my fridge is because I'm thinking about going and doing stand-up.
You're going to go do stand-up.
Yeah.
In a place you've never been.
Yes.
In front of people you've never seen.
I'm thinking about it.
You're thinking about it, but something tells me you've done this before.
Right. So the reason I'm thinking about it, I've done stand-up, true stand-up, twice in my life.
Get out of here.
Now, again, this kind of like goes back to the farm thing. I'm trying to claim anything that is not properly mine.
You're a farming comedian? Is that what?
That's right. So I've done stand-up twice. I did it once in college.
All right.
In a talent show.
Okay.
And I did it once as an adult here in Winston-Salem.
Here in Winston?
In Winston-Salem, downtown, they had an open mic night.
So I've probably known you in that time that you've done it.
It was a time that, you and I knew each other at the time, probably marginally. And they had an open mic night at an art gallery, of all places, downtown. And I went and did open mic night there.
All right, let's rewind a little. Let's rewind to the college days. Yeah. Was this a bet that you lost? No,
I knew they were going to have this talent show, and so I wanted to get up and see if I could make people laugh.
Okay.
And so I got up, and I did what I think most true comedians do. I'm not claiming anything that's not mine.
Driving it on his tractor.
But I remember Eddie Murphy talking about this. I got up and basically did 5 minutes of somebody else's material.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, a comedian that I liked. So I got up in front of this college group. I did this 5 minutes of stand-up. Yeah. Went over pretty well. I did about 2 minutes of my own material, and I got off the stage.
All right.
And everybody seemed to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Nobody told me it was bad. I got some laughs. But I just remember Eddie Murphy had a whole thing about, he was like, here's my tribute, and he would do, another comedian's material when he was a kid, and then he goes, that's my tribute, So I did, so that was the first one.
So when you saw it, when you saw the opportunity to do that, had you practiced on anyone before, or is this something that you thought, hey, you know what, I'm just going to go do that, or is this something that had been brewing?
I had been brewing.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew it was coming up, and so I prepared for it.
So what kind of comedians did you like during that time?
This was in the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
So, I was trying to think, like Eddie Murphy had just kind of finished was kind of at his peak at about that time.
So you're kind of a late night Saturday Night Live kind of guy?
Well, I like Saturday Night Live, but I like Second City better.
Second City
TV. So if you stayed up past Saturday Night Live,
oh man,
Cecil's
going deep.
Right, you had to wait till that went off, and then all of a sudden on NBC, this thing would come and run the peacock off of the screen, in an animation, and then Second City TV would take over.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, you've seen that. You know the people from Second City. It would be like Rick Moranis was a Second City comedian. There's a lot of comedians, and I'm not going to be able to do it off the top of my head, but a lot of comedians that especially that got into film, came out of Second City.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, so it was a Chicago troupe.
Okay.
And so they started doing a TV show called SCTV. And so if you ever heard of Doug and Bob McKenzie.
The McKenzie brothers.
Right, The Great White North. Yeah, that's Second City TV.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was all done at Second City.
No kidding. Okay.
Second City, I think, originated as like the improv kind of comedy and sketch comedy.
Right.
And so you'd have to stay up really late to do that.
So
that was the stuff. Those were comedians I liked.
Okay.
And anything that I would stay up and watch Carson. So anybody that was showing up on Carson, Stephen Wright was popular at that point in time. And even Jay Leno, he wasn't on the Tonight Show, but he was doing doing stand up.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of other ones that I could. They're all gone now, but I saw some on Instagram the other day. Some of these comedians from the '80s that never really hit it big, but were popular during the '80s.
I'm going to have to go and look at this. I bet you we can look up Second City and see.
Some of the Second City, yeah, you can go and find their stuff. Absolutely.
Oh wow!
So that was kind of stuff I liked at the time.
So that's college.
Yeah, so I tried to do that, and then.
No, you didn't do it. You didn't do it anymore.
No, I didn't. After that was it. Graduated from college, became a pharmacist, got married, and so just never had the opportunity. I never really sought the opportunity out. Didn't have the opportunity, I guess, to do that.
Do you remember any of the jokes that you told from the college days?
I do. I remember the bit that I did that was the big bit was about a newspaper article that they had found that a woman had stowed away on a pirate ship.
Okay.
This really happened. And so the comedian was talking about what life had to be like for her on the pirate ship, disguised as a man. Like she lived out her life as this pirate, and so she's disguised, but how hard that had to be, like living in disguise on a pirate ship. And so that was the whole bit.
I got you.
About that. Yeah.
All right.
And so then I did a couple of minutes of my own material, just about like observational stuff, and then that was it.
Man, that
got off the stage.
I'm telling you, I thought you were a farmer, and now you're a comedian, and I had no idea. Now, so I do, you do like to tell jokes.
Yeah,
I do know that about you,
right.
And I do, recognize and hear your jokes all the time. And fast forward to how many years now on the next time you did stand up?
Yeah, so I was probably in my early 20s, and so probably I'm in my late 30s when I do it the next time.
All right.
For this open now. So I do this open mic night here in Winston. This is all my material at this point.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I've come up with like about 5 minutes. You had to have, I think, 5 minutes.
All right.
So I've got 5 minutes of my own material. I get in line, I'm signing up, and there's some actual real comedians there.
All right.
Like this one guy in front of me is a prop comedian.
All right.
And so he's got
stuff.
And so I'm talking to him, I'm like, because I just thought it'd be a bunch of like amateurs.
Me.
Yeah. And no, there's like a couple of people that are like really into doing this. Right. And so I'm like, man, I've got to really perform, and so I get up, I do my 5 minutes, and I think I'm one of the first ones to go because I'm really truly amateur.
Okay, all right.
And I do my 5 minutes, I get a few guffaws and off the stage.
No
man.
kidding. Yeah. All right. So what kind of material is this? What was this?
I've got it written down somewhere. I've got to go back and find it. Again, I think it was just I remember what it was now that I say that. It was...
before we do that,
before
you tell me some words of wisdom. I think you've learned some things from this.
Yeah, so I think words of wisdom are if you want to do something like this, don't be afraid to do it. Go do it. Go try it.
So evidently you can go do this.
Right. So this is why this is here. So there was another place in High Point after I did the one in Winston-Salem that had an open mic night.
Yeah.
And I got the brochure for it, and before I could get my nerve up to go try it again, they closed. And so the other day I saw this at the Brewers Code, and I was like, oh, well, this might be my chance to go back and try it again.
Are you going to reuse that material?
No.
Okay, so tell me, let's go ahead and tell me what your material was.
Yeah, the stuff I already did was probably, I think it was largely around Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
There was something happening in Winston that time, and I kind of built off of that, like in just observational stuff again.
All right.
Yeah. So so now I'm getting my nerve up. I'd have to create. I've got stuff written down. But I'd have to create a whole new set.
So how do you go about writing material as a comedian to do a bit?
Oh, me?
Yeah. How do you do it?
Well, I mean, I'm not. You know me. I've seen how comedians do it, just like through documentaries. But
right.
I just like jot down stuff I think's funny.
Okay.
And then hang on to it, and then. But real comedians, from what I've seen, they'll go and test their material out on the road in small clubs. Then they'll talk about having like a tight 5 minutes, but they it may take them weeks and weeks and weeks to build that 5 minutes to where it's really a funny. And I can doing like an hour. Like an hour on Comedy Central or something, that's incredible to me.
No
just to make somebody laugh.
Right.
And then I've seen comedians, I've been to shows where, like concert shows, like Steve Martin would make you laugh for 2 hours.
Right.
And he would do it in front of stadiums full of people in the 70s. And that's just incredible.
That's next level,
right? Yeah, that's just next level. Yeah. I mean, for me, if I could sustain it for 3 minutes, that would be good.
Are you a storyteller?
Yeah, I think I'd probably do stories.
And do you make fun of yourself?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
How do you make fun of yourself?
On stage?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what I would do now. I mean, it's been so long. I don't know what I would do, unless I do just a lot of older dad kind of jokes.
Right. That which I kind of peg you on, right? I kind of get the dad jokes from you.
Well, there was actually a comedy school in North Carolina at a comedy club, and it was great because when you pulled up the application, I was looking at it, and it said, "You are not funny." Right. And it says, "Your friends have told you that you're funny, your coworkers have told you that you're funny, but we are here to tell you that you are not funny. But if you have extra $500 laying around and just want to blow it, then fill out this application." And I mean, they were very upfront, saying like, I know you think you're funny, but you're not funny. And I think it's really hard to be.
That's brutally
funny,
honest, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah. Like my favorite comedian, well, not my favorite comedian. The comedian I like right now is Nate Bargatze.
Okay.
And he, he's just does very observational humor. But man, just to come up with that much material and to be like that, I just think there's a real talent to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's I just think it's.
So when are you going on? When are you going on? Are we?
See, I have to come up with something.
Do we need to do a live episode at the Brewers
at the Brewers Kettle,
and then follow up with you watching you go for it?
Go for it on the open mic night. Well, see, now we've done this as a podcast. This puts me further out there of having to actually go and do this now.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
but with 10,000 downloads,
well,
the expectations are high, man. Just go out there. You can always fall back on the podcast.
Right. I need to follow my own advice.
Exactly.
And go and do this. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if I can come up with material. But I think the podcast has become this outlet for me.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
How so?
Just because we get to talk. I mean, is it an outlet for you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Do you feel like it's a creative outlet for you?
It very much so.
Yeah.
Not one that I'm going to get paid a lot for. I just love coming here and talking with you.
Right.
And thinking of how we can make the show better.
Yeah.
Thinking of different topics.
Yeah.
Thinking about the audience, trying to relate to the audience, make sure we tell stories that everyone in our audience can relate to somehow.
Yeah.
What's it like for you to get up on stage, for instance?
Right.
What's it like?
Well, it's terrifying.
Is it still terrifying?
Oh yeah, to get up on stage, like to speak, like at work or anywhere. I'm not afraid to speak in front of people.
Right.
But to get up there and think that you've got to make somebody laugh.
Right. That sounds like a lot of pressure.
There's a lot of pressure for that, and I really think that it's really how people control the crowd. Like you can see people that aren't necessarily that funny that really do handle a crowd well,
right?
And can make people laugh and so, sometimes at church I try to make people laugh before I do whatever I
think you do a good job.
Yeah.
I think I usually find myself laughing, not at you, but with you as you tell a story or tell an experience.
Right. And so, I don't, I feel like I do that. I mean, part of that is for me, but I think part of it makes things more relatable.
Yeah.
When people laugh.
Sure. When you describe yourself going down the stairs, falling down the stairs.
Yeah. But I don't think I'm a comedian. I mean, I don't think that comedy school thing really made me think. Your coworkers have told you you're funny. You're only so funny if you're.
That's right. They're telling you.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, I just think I've watched have you ever seen the documentary that Seinfeld did, where he shows his process behind?
Oh no!
I mean, it's a lot of work where they're, especially like for a guy like him who's very methodical, and he's kept all of his jokes written down, and they just very methodically build sets over time.
Man,
yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
That's great.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just methodical, and I don't think every comedian's like that, but it was interesting to see his process.
Right.
And I've watched other people where, like, I've seen Nate Bargatze go on stage with a notebook in a smaller club, and you can see him making notes as he's doing the jokes.
Yeah.
What's working, what's not working.
All right. I don't think I've listened to Nate.
Yeah, but he's not doing it. He's not doing the note thing, when he's doing a Netflix special. But I've seen him in small clubs where you can, he's working out material. Yeah.
That's great.
So I'd have to go and try to work out material.
I think you got some.
Yeah.
I just recently told the story again to some friends about your rookie lap leader, the rookie lap leader story. Now that wasn't a joke, right?
Right.
But that was a story that was really, really funny.
Yeah. Well, Jerry Clower, a comedian that I like.
Yeah.
He used to say he wasn't a comedian. He just told stories funny.
Right.
Yeah. The one. So I will tell you one thing that's been in the back of my mind for a while.
Yeah.
That I thought would be a great comedy bit.
All right.
I don't want to blow the show, the stand up, but can you imagine like when they tried to name the streets in North Carolina for the 911 system?
Okay.
So they had to go out, especially in the rural areas.
Right.
Where they're
Because everything was rural routes.
Yeah, everything was rural routes, but you had to name every road when you put 911 in because you have to know where you're going.
All right.
And
so I never really thought about that.
Right. And so if you look, there's a lot of like Davis Street or Grandpa Street or people just named it whatever they thought of when the person came around.
Okay.
So especially if you get out in the country a little bit, you start seeing like,
Wait a minute.
Streets.
You're from the suburbs.
No. I'm saying if you're just driving out in the country.
I got you.
Yeah. So inside the suburb, like here where we live, they named everything after Sherwood.
Forest.
Yeah. And so, or you go into like something where everything's named after a tree, Birch Lane. But you get out in the country a little bit, and all of a sudden you start seeing people's names or this family
John
Hill,
Davis Road,
John Davis Road, or whatever. So I just got to imagine this guy walking around with a pen and paper, and he kind of he knocks on the door and he's to name the street, and the guy goes, "Can we name it Earnhardt Boulevard?" And he's going, "No, that's already taken." People tried to do that. Every single house he came to. Can we do Earnhardt Boulevard? No. Street? No. Avenue? No. It's all taken. So that's my. That's the bit.
All right.
Yeah, that's the. So all I've got to do is build that into
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
You can do it.
Got it. It made you laugh. So
yeah, man.
Yeah, at least I got off a little. Off to a little bit of a good
start.
I'm
your friend. I tell you you're funny, just like your coworkers do.
Well, yeah, we should do it. But do you like? it's interesting that we've never really talked about this, but you think this is an artistic outlet for like an artistic side? I mean, you also design things.
Right.
You have a creative job, even though it's being an engineer is very methodical. Mm-hmm. You also have a creative side to your job where you're creating. Do you enjoy that side of your job?
Oh yeah. I mean, it gives me a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah.
One of the things that I always thought about when I thought about changing jobs was what was I created to do. Mm-hmm. And it was I don't know, something, it was just very clear to me that I felt a lot of pleasure and satisfaction in creating something.
Right.
And as an engineer, you get, like you said, it's very methodical, but at the end of the day, you've created something. So there's things on the road today I see drive by and say, I did that.
Right.
They're still on the road today.
Yeah.
That's why, I mean, I'm sure that's why you like to work on your car. That's why I like to work on my car, because we are creating things, we're building things.
Yeah.
And this podcast is the same thing. We're creating something that gives us joy to do, but it also gives other people joy to do, or something for them to enjoy also.
Right. Yeah. So it's something, and again, it's just building something out of nothing.
Yeah.
Whether it's the podcast or the car, the truck.
Right.
It's just interesting to me, or just to see the process.
Or just a piece of furniture.
Yeah.
Right. I built a shelf.
Right.
Big shelving unit. I built a TV console. And I tell my kids, so when I croak, y'all can have. So I got to build a third thing. So I don't have a third thing. So when I croak, they can each take something that Dad built.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe the Scout will be something that Dad built.
That's right.
Over and over and over.
Right. Just rebuild it over and over. Yeah. I mean, I wonder if it's because I'm in pharmacy and there's not a lot of creativity in pharmacy, that I have to have those other outlets.
Right.
And it's interesting because your job, you really have to know, materials and math and structure and loads, but yet you create.
Right.
You create something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, do you actually doodle and draw? Did you do a lot of that?
Oh man, I still do that.
Do you?
Someone pointed that out as doodling something. It makes it look like I'm not paying attention.
Right.
Sometimes it's true.
Right.
But most of the time I'm just doodling. And
I think better when I doodle.
Do you?
Or I pay attention better when I'm doodling.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
What do you like to doodle? Is there something you particularly like to doodle?
I like patterns.
Okay. I like shading.
Oh, yeah.
So I like something that goes from dark to light, or that catches shadows. I like that kind of doodling. And then I also like to draw F-16s. I don't know why that is, but I always like to draw F-16 fighter jets. I don't know what it is.
Did you start that when you were young?
Yeah. I think I did really young.
Yeah. I remember we draw that type of stuff, and then we also, spaceships were fun to draw.
Right. I remember drawing, do you ever draw the space shuttle on the landing pad? I remember drawing that.
Oh, no, I never
drawing
did that. We would draw fantasy, made up starships.
All right, yeah.
And so, because I remember as I got a little older, there was a girl in junior high that said, "Aren't you a little old to be doing that?" I was like, I enjoy doing this. Beat it.
That's right.
Well, it don't sound right, but you've come to the end of another That Don't Sound Right.
Hey, before we close, we want to thank everyone for listening. Again, we just surpassed 10,000 downloads. It's very exciting for us. If this is your first time, if you're number 10,001 and you enjoyed the conversation, would you consider hitting the subscribe button on your podcast app? Also consider leaving us a review or a rating.
Remember, Wonderfully Made Designs, Peter, is a small business specializing in custom-made T-shirts and decals. If you haven't ordered your T-shirt from Casey yet, go to see Casey on Facebook at Wonderfully Made Designs 139.14.
The numbers are important, so there's lots of other Wonderfully Made Designs. Make sure you put the numbers in there. What are those numbers again?
Wonderfully Made Designs 139.14.
Perfect.
Use code TDSR10 for 10% off your first order.
Is that coupon code still going?
Coupon code is still going for us.
Wow.
So, That Don't Sound Right is a production of TDSR Podcast in conjunction with Campbell City Studios. I am your one of your hosts, not a farmer, not a comedian, but you're sound engineer.
But you are funny.
Well, thanks. Thanks. The sound engineer, Cecil. Cecil, Peter is your other host and your web designer. And go see the website if you haven't seen it in a while. Our occasional barista is Camille. Emily is our graphic designer. Ella does our Instagram. Giorgio tests our merchandise. Brent is our brand ambassador. And as always, Scott is listener number... I did it backwards. Listener number 1 is
Scott.
So until next week, keep talking.
And stay curious.